Midwest Box Trucking. I wanted to take some time out today to make a video kind of for the newer individuals headed into this peak season, you know, kind of to help you guys out and give you guys some insight on a lot of the changes that I know of that Amazon Relay has made within the last, say, 6 months to a year. It's been a wave of changes. So today I just wanted to go through a quick run through of everything. First and foremost, I think everybody kind of knows about the 180-day or 6-month new carrier rule. Meaning if you're a new carrier with a new authority, new MC number, for Amazon to even look at you now, your authority will have to have been active for at least 180 days or 6 months. Everybody knows 6 months ago, you could start an authority and be on with Amazon within a couple weeks, max. Eventually, that process started to slow down, and individuals were reporting that they were waiting a month to 2 months at a time. So now the rule, like I said, has been implemented that any new carrier, their authority has to have been active for 6 months. So that's the first big change with Amazon Relay. Secondly, Amazon has changed the time frame allowed to dispute payments as well as performance issues. In the past, you had 30 days to dispute a payment or a performance issue. They've changed that. Now it's 2 weeks or 14 days that you have to dispute any payment or performance issue. And from my experiences within the last month or so, it seems that Amazon is now more reluctant to fix performance disputes. You know, I had a situation that I'll run you guys through really quick where I was actually penalized for arriving at the facility too early. So pretty much my pickup time was 12:50 a.m. Me trying to be ahead of the game, I got to the area of the facility at approximately 10:50 p.m. So I was about 2 hours early. I didn't approach the guard shack. I actually pulled into a parking lot adjacent to Amazon's actual warehouse lot. So it's on the outside of the lot. But I inadvertently from the app picked up the geofence. So the geofence picked me up arriving 2 hours early. So it knew I was there. It could see that I didn't move because your truck pings every time it moves. So I sat there till about 12:40. My pickup time was 12:50 a.m. And at 12:40, I said, let me get up and go ahead and get in here. I don't want no issues. I got in line at the guard shack, 4 or 5 box trucks in front of me. I wait on them to go in. I was actually checked in by the guard at 12:52 a.m. But I lined up probably 10 minutes before my start time. So I'm thinking everything is fine, and I look at my performance the next day, and it had me late to the origin by 2 minutes, which to me is petty in itself, but late is late. So it said I was 2 minutes late to the origin. I'm like, oh, I ain't worried about it. You know, this will normally be fixed. You know, so I disputed it through the normal dispute process, which is to file through the app. And they gave me some generic response on how they could see that I arrived before time, but the gap between the time that I arrived and that I entered the guard shack, it couldn't have been a delay that long. It wasn't a delay that long. I lined up at the guard shack 10 minutes before my start time. So I wasn't late at all. But what they're saying is that from what they're seeing in the app, it was too much of a delay to reverse the decision. So normally what I do is then contact my middle mile performance manager. And I contacted him. And first off, I just want to say, I don't have anything bad to say about the guy. He's helped me on numerous occasions. So, it was just a situation where the app, pretty much didn't pick up my arrival correctly. So I forwarded the issue to my performance manager, and from what he told me, I arrived way too early, to the Amazon property. And for that reason, the app arrived me as late. Pretty much he, didn't fix it. He didn't say whether he would or not, but it wasn't fixed. And so pretty much I just had to take that hit. So that's a situation where I arrived 2 hours early, lined up at the guard shack 10 minutes early, and it's my personal time. I don't get paid for this, and still was dinged for being late. Expressed this through the app, expressed this to the performance manager, and it wasn't corrected. So you could do all the right things and still encounter a issue as far as the app. So you have to be very careful. But like I said, they're more reluctant now, it seems, to reverse infractions. Back in the past, you almost could make up something as to why you were late. People would use weather and all type of different excuses and could get away with it. Now, not so much. It seems like a lot of individuals are having different performance issues occur and are unable to get those reversed. So another thing that's changed, Amazon has changed the time frame and the manner in which your performance score resets. So now listen closely. In the past, you could have an infraction today, a rejection or whatever, get dropped down to a D or F rating, and then go on vacation for 6 weeks. Come back and your score will be reset to 100%. That's been the case since I ran Amazon Relay. That has recently been changed. Now, if you receive an infraction today, your score will be replenished on an active 6-week basis, meaning if you don't work a week for Amazon Relay, that week essentially does not count. So you could not work 6 weeks and your score will not change after that 6-week time frame. You're required to run one successful trip with no performance discrepancies for 6 weeks in order to replenish your performance score back to 100%. So it's a active 6 weeks, meaning you have to be actively running trips with Amazon Relay successfully with no performance score hits for 6 weeks in order for your performance score to be replenished to 100%. So that's also a new rule. They changed the time frame and the manner in which your performance score resets. Like I said, in the past, you could take 6 weeks off, come back, and you're back at 100%. Now, you have to actively run trips for 6 weeks in order to replenish your score back to 100%. You could probably run 4 weeks and it'll get you partially there, but it won't restore your performance completely to 100% without you running a full 6 weeks. Okay. Another thing that has changed is your performance score pertaining to your app usage metrics. Okay. Now, Amazon is requiring that you keep that app open and running the entire time that you're running their freight. So location is now 30% of your app usage metric, meaning if you close that app and they cannot detect your location during any part of your trip, they're going to hit you on your app usage. And just here this last week, I've heard that a lot of individuals had suffered hits to their app usage. And I've also heard that it is a nationwide issue. So some of this may be in error. So you may want to check your app usage, performance metric, and then get in contact with your performance manager, because there may be discrepancies that you may need cleared up. Because in the last week, like I've said, I've heard a lot of issues of individuals having app usage hits when in normal situations they wouldn't have. And they are requiring that you keep that app open the entire time. So that's something to think about. You may want to get a second phone if you don't have one already, and just keep that app running, and then use the GPS on another phone or a truck GPS or so forth. Because like I said, it's getting tricky as far as, the app usage is concerned. Another change is they've changed the performance percentage needed to obtain early access. In the past, 98%, which in my opinion is already high, would be considered an A+ and would grant you early access. Now, 100% early access is only granted to 100% carriers. And as you go down, 99%, you see a little bit less. 98%, you see a little bit more or less, and so forth. So the lower your score drops, the less you see pertaining to the spot market and the spot load board. So I've seen that in the last month. Individuals with a 98% comparing the loads they see to their buddies that has a 100%, and the loads shown are not the same. So that's something to think about as well. You want to be on time and not rejecting loads to be able to see everything on the board. And as I told you, it's harder now to get performance infractions overturned. So you really want to be careful. Amazon has also made multiple changes to the desktop app, as well as the mobile app, as well as their poster truck feature. Okay? In my opinion, the desktop app went to shit. The way you have to book loads on there is just crazy. You now have like a 2 to 3 step process. The trips along your route or the stops along your route are not easily accessible. Some of them are not shown at all. So in my opinion, they forced carriers to slow down when they're booking loads, because you can't just have, back in the day, I had that fast finger. I had the flicker of that board the flick of the wrist. You know what I'm saying? And I could flick that board and damn near beat anybody to a load. At this point, they've made it where an amateur can beat me to a load under certain circumstances, because if you're not on the mobile app, which I would advise everybody to use that instead, which I always tended to, favor the desktop app. Even on a mobile phone, I would use the desktop version. But now the quickest way to book is going to be through the mobile app. It's 2 taps, which is what it always was. Now, like I said, on the desktop version, you have to pull up another screen, hit book, and then I believe confirm. So, like I said, the desktop version, in my opinion, it went to shit. And you're better off using the mobile. And then post a truck will get you in a jam quicker than anything. If you go to attempting to link loads, whereas you can post your truck out of different areas and link the postings together, so when one fills, the rest cancel out. I've already made this mistake and I caught it. A new carrier, this may cost you your score, maybe even your account. But I thought 2 loads were linked in and they weren't actually linked in. It's a certain way you have to confirm, which is you always want to hit confirm and link in. Then you create your next trip and then you confirm and link that in as well. And then if you add another trip, you confirm and link that in as well. So pretty much you want to make sure that once you post your truck, whatever orders you've linked, you should see like a chain link, like 2 chain links linked together. If you don't see that chain link on the poster truck posting, those loads are not linked, and you actually have 2 separate poster truck postings in and are running the risk of both matching and you being overbooked. So new carriers, be careful when thinking that you have linked in loads. Make sure you actually see the 2 chain links connected on the poster truck posting. Okay, so that's something to watch out for as well. They also now are requiring on the Amazon to Amazon trips periodically that drivers submit in-app selfies. This is something that's happened probably in the last 60 days. So you could be running a route and the app will prompt you to stop what you're doing and take a selfie in the app, real time. You can't upload it, it's actually in the app. And then you submit it and they'll allow you to continue your trip. So that's something new that's been implemented as well. A lot of the semi drivers are reporting that now they're being required to take pictures of their trailers at the drop locations. So when the semi drivers unhook, they're requiring them to take pictures of all sides and corners of the trailers and then submit it through the app and confirm that it inspects in working order with no defects. And the app still has glitches apparently, because I've been prompted to do this in some of the Amazon to Amazon trips. They require me to actually take pictures of my box truck, which doesn't make sense at all. It makes sense that they will require the semi drivers to take pictures of the trailers at the drop locations, but the box trucks are the owner operator's personal trucks. So I don't understand it at all. I think that just may be a glitch in the app. Something else that's also changed is the driver onboarding process. In the past, within 2 to 3 hours, you could send your drivers a link. They could go in, complete the steps without uploading a license or anything like that, and be ready to run a trip the same day. Now, Amazon is requiring them to take a picture, send that over to onboarding. They also want the driver's license information, and it takes a couple days at the least to get the drivers approved. So that's another change. You know, if you hire a driver today, you can't actually get that guy to run a load tonight. You will have to probably wait a couple days max. So that's something else to think about if you're onboarding a driver. Something else is the load board. Spot loads pretty much are at an all-time low. You know, volume in itself is just down, and pretty much the loads are sitting for longer. They start out usually below $2 and take hours upon hours to increase. Amazon is now putting loads up a day or two in advance, which makes a lot of sense, but then at the same time taking a day to even start to increase the rate on that load. So you have to sit and stalk the load board for days at a time if it's a particular trip or a particular route, you know, in which you want to pick up. You know, it's not so simple to where they drop the loads at 6 and by 6:15 p.m. they're increasing. You know, these loads now are just sitting, and I believe a lot of them are either going to post a truck or being booked at a cheap rate. Pretty much is, you know, what I'm getting. And the final thing that, you know, I've noticed is we were regularly having carrier calls. You know, we were having one every Friday in my region. And I've talked to a numerous different owner operators. I've even had a guy ask me like, hey, have you been having your carrier call? You know, and as far as I know, we haven't been having one. And that's probably been for the last month and a half. So that's a change as well. A lot of carriers are experiencing, you know, a situation where they don't have, you know, a carrier call weekly with their performance manager, which now kind of throws you in a bind, because that's where a lot of individuals were able to directly talk to your MMPM, your middle mile performance manager, and have issues corrected, you know, that things may have went crazy in the app, like the situation I talked about earlier where, you know, I arrived 2 hours early and ended up being docked as late. So with situations like that, normally you could talk to your performance manager. They'll understand the situation and reverse that. But in my opinion, it just seems like Amazon's more so trying to take that out of our performance manager's hands and leave it up to the dispute process, which usually will give you a generic response. And then from there, you're kind of on your own. You got to battle it out. So it's been multiple times I've been in the right and not able to have the issue overturned. I did get really lucky, and that's why I say I have to give props to my middle mile performance manager, because I put a poster truck posting in. I was in Waukegan one day, and pretty much I put an hour stem time. Poster truck, for some reason, matched me to the trip 8 minutes after the start time. The load picked up at 4:50 a.m. Post the truck, booked the load to my company at 4:58 a.m. Like I said, which was 8 minutes after the trip start time. I had an hour stem time, meaning I need an hour advance notice before you book me onto a trip. Like I said, it booked me 8 minutes after the trip start time. When I disputed it, Amazon held me liable. They said Amazon had the right to reject or cancel loads, just as the carrier has the right to reject or cancel loads, and pretty much I was on my own. In this situation, I relayed this to my performance manager, and he did overturn it. So, like I said, you win some and you lose some. You know, you're not going to get everything overturned. I would try to dispute everything and just see, you know, what they'll fix and what they won't. But like I said, nowadays they're very reluctant to fix your performance score. You know, it seems like they want you to suffer that 6 weeks actively running at a cheaper rate in order to repair your performance score. So there you have it. You know, maybe a little longer than I wanted it to be, but those are all of the changes that Amazon Relay has made. So with that being said, you guys stay safe out there, take it easy, and have a good one. Appreciate you.